Ciao! And welcome to another episode of Buzzpucks. I actually can't believe I hadn't done that one before. That's
I thought you had.
No.
I thought we had talked about it.
I don't think so.
Wow.
Well, if I repeated, then oh well. Whatever. I don't think I did Italian, but I could be wrong. I'm Bert.
I'm Clay.
And we're here for yet another week of NHL action. Some spicy things happened this week.
Week 18.
Week 18. I think a couple coaches got fired this week. We'll get to those as we get to their teams.
So our week starts on February 7th and it ends on February 13th.
February 13th, yes.
Yep. And we're recording on February 13th.
We are, because luckily enough, all of the games on the 13th were afternoon games, I'm assuming because they did not want to compete with the Super Bowl.
100%.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day tomorrow, too, because this will come out on Tuesday. So.
Yes.
Hope you guys had fun on Valentine's Day.
The Superb Owl.
The Superb Owl. And, boy, it really sucks that the Bengals lost. I'm just kidding. I have no idea if they won or lost, but hopefully they lose. Go Steelers. Anyway, where am I? I'm going to start this week, but before that, why don't you tell us what we're drinking, Clay? Oh, my God.
All right.
Rein myself in.
We are drinking out of Michigan this week.
Yeah.
It is Bell's Kalamazoo Stout.
Ooh.
It's very yummy.
It's tasty,
Yes.
yeah. I don't think I've ever had this before.
They're closer to Ann Arbor than they are to Detroit, but not much is by Detroit in terms of breweries.
Yeah, it's about as close as Detroit as we here where we are could probably get. So, close enough. Yeah. Close enough.
It's very yummy.
From Comstock, Michigan.
I love everything by Bell's.
It is good.
That is not true.
Is good.
I've had one stout by them that I don't like. But
brewed with licorice.
I love Bell's.
It really tastes like licorice.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Let's get to some hockey talk. Why don't we?
Honky tonky.
We're going to start in the Central Division, where the Arizona Coyotes, won another game this week.
Yes, they did.
Look at them. Their record is still horrible, but, not the worst ever. And certainly not the worst in the league this season. They lost to Vancouver, did turn around and beat Seattle, and then lost to Tampa Bay. But actually fairly close game against Tampa Bay.
Very close.
One goal game against Tampa Bay. So, they played them strong. 0 for 7 on the power play, 6 for 8 on the penalty kill. Not super good numbers for either. 12, 32, and 4.
Look at them with
the Arizona
12.
Coyotes. They might break 20 wins this year the way they're going. Maybe.
I think
we have 11 more weeks.
That's way more than they thought they were going to.
That was way more than I thought that they were going to get. 2 months into the season. So. Definitely 15. I'm feeling definitely at least 15 wins.
Yes.
There's a couple other teams that don't think so.
I think
at least one other team.
I think they'll hit 20.
I mean, they've been okay the last, 1 and 2, usually 1 and 3, something like that. Nick Schmaltz was their top player this week.
They get the top player this week.
They do. He had 3 goals in the 3 games.
Good for him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I believe it's Johan Larsson, is on the IR with a lower body injury. Bummer. Moving on to Chi-Tilly, Chicago, the Windy City, 1-1 this week. Beat Edmonton. We'll get to something about that game a little bit later when we talk about Edmonton.
Yep.
I'm sure Clay is dying to talk about people who have been fired.
So many.
Both of them at confusing times, I feel like. But we'll talk about that when we get to them. And then they lost to St. Louis pretty bad.
Yeah.
They beat Edmonton 4-1, too. So.
Yeah,
Yikes.
Edmonton had a bad week.
Yeah. 3 for 7 on the power play. That's a pretty good power play week for Chicago.
Good for them.
Yeah, 5 for 7 on the penalty kill. Not great, but whatever. 17, 24, and 7 were the Chicago Blackhawks on the season so far.
I do want to mention.
Excuse me. I didn't want to burp in the mic. Yeah.
Because there's been a
Chicago.
rumor. Yes, Chicago, specifically Andre Fleury.
Oh,
there's some big rumors coming out.
There's a lot of teams that could probably use Fleury, including Edmonton.
Well, the Caps have apparently
kept asking
about Fleury, and he keeps saying no.
Yeah, the thing with Fleury is I believe he has a 10-team no-trade clause. I think 10 or 12, something like that.
A full.
He might have a full.
I think he's a full.
No, he doesn't because
No.
Vegas traded him without his knowledge
Oh, yeah.
at the beginning of the season. Unless it kicked in after that. But I believe he has a 10 or 12 team no-trade clause.
Well, can you be traded twice in a season?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can be traded twice in an hour.
As soon as I said it, I remember Mike Hoffman.
Mike Hoffman, but I don't remember who Sam Gagne plays for. I think maybe Edmonton right now. I'm not sure. But he's still in the league somewhere. But Sam Gagne got traded twice in an hour. Yeah. I remember a few years ago. And then Mike Hoffman got traded a couple of times within, I think, that same time frame.
Well, if you think about it from Fleury's perspective.
Yeah. Well, that was a team he probably hates, honestly.
Well,
maybe not hates, but they
not
were.
Even that. I think professionally, like the players don't really care. It's a business to them.
I don't know if that's true for every team.
Well, I mean,
every player.
Think of Lundqvist.
I guess that's fair. But my point
for the Caps.
My point is like I don't think somebody like Crosby would ever agree to be traded to or sign with the Philadelphia Flyers. I know he hates that team.
That's fair. But I think
come on.
When it comes to Andre Fleury,
yeah.
He probably isn't going anywhere this season.
I like how you're saying Andre Fleury like that's his last name. It's just Fleury.
Nope.
His first name is Marc Andre.
I know.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make that clear.
No, I know what it is. I know where that hyphen takes place, but it's fun.
I don't know.
That's fair.
Good old Andy Fleury.
MAF.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
He already moved once. He didn't want to move.
I know we touched upon it. He mulled retiring instead of actually going to Chicago.
Exactly.
So I don't know that he wants to go anywhere.
He doesn't. He doesn't feel like he owes Chicago anything and making them better.
No.
Also, he has nothing. He's got his Vezina. He has multiple cups. He doesn't have to chase anything.
That Vezina was the last thing that he really needed is the wrong word, but like to bulk up his
and
possible Hall of Fame.
And his cap hit is pretty big.
Yeah, it's $7 million, I believe. Yeah. And so even if Chicago took on half, that's still $3.5 million. And I mean, it's gone after this season, but still.
He's probably just gonna ride into the sunset after this year.
Probably.
He's 38.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I kind of agree with that. I'm guessing that Washington must be on the no trade list if Fleury nixed it. So
he probably nixed Edmonton too.
Probably.
Edmonton's probably calling.
Yeah,
like,
I
don't want to move again.
They never make it public what teams are on those no trade lists. Sometimes through context clues you can figure it out, but
I think it might just be the first 10 teams that ask. He says no to.
No, he has to put in the list at the beginning of the season. So I don't know. Washington could certainly use him. So could Edmonton, definitely.
But Washington's going to have to give up so much to get him.
Both of them would have to give up a lot. So I don't know. Maybe they just hold on to him for the rest of the season. It is a rather large cap hit. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be something interesting to watch. He's certainly the top goalie, possibly on the market heading to the trade deadline. And there are a bunch of contenders, even outside of Washington and Edmonton, who could use some goalie help. I mean, look, Pittsburgh could use another goalie because DeSmith had a shutout this week, which I'll touch on later. But he hasn't been good otherwise. Jarry has been fine, but Jarry had a meltdown in the playoffs last year, and if the Penguins could swing something to get Fleury back, they might think about it, especially if it's not going to cost that much.
Right.
But
it's going to cost them money.
They have the same problem as Washington, where they don't have the cap space for that. So. And
they would have to give up too many valuable prospects.
Probably, yeah. So I don't know. I'm not predicting that the Penguins are going to do that, but I don't know. It'll take a lot.
Yeah.
And it seems like a really hard contract to move around. But we'll see. We're a little over a month away from the trade deadline. Some interesting things have got to happen coming up soon. But you know what? Let's move on to Colorado, who had a very good week, including a shutout of Dallas today that literally ended, I don't know, like less than 30 minutes ago. They were 2-0 this week.
Good for them.
Beat Tampa Bay, so they beat one of the other top teams in the league, and then shut out Dallas. 0 for 4 on the power play, 6 for 6 on the penalty kill. Colorado, 34, 8 and 4. What a record!
That's good.
They get 2 top players this week. Gabriel Landeskog had 3 goals, 2 in the Dallas game, 1 in Tampa Bay game. But Darcy Kemper, 2-0, had that shutout, 1.00 goals against, 974 save percentage in those 2 games. Pretty good.
Hopefully they don't choke it in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, that would be real disappointing if that happened.
It's cup or bust for these guys.
But at least the thing with Colorado is at least they've won playoff series the last few years.
Oh,
Didn't
100%.
they make the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago too?
2 years ago.
So they've at least made it deeper into the playoffs than say like Toronto has. But no, I agree with you. It is definitely cup or bust.
It's cup or bust for them. They're basically Tampa the past couple years.
Absolutely. So they're a fun team to watch too. They're very, very good. Dallas also had a good week, despite being shut out by Colorado. They went 2-1 this week.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Nashville. They beat Winnipeg in overtime, and lost to Colorado, like I said. 2 for 13 on the power play. That's a lot of power plays and not a lot of goals.
Mm-mm.
6 for 6 on the penalty kill, though.
That's what you want.
25, 19, and 2. So they're still having a fairly good season. They're still well within the playoff.
They're within striking distance.
Robertson is their top player this week, who had 3 goals. None today, though, obviously. Moving on to Minnesota, who went 1-1 this week. They got shut out by Winnipeg, but then they beat Carolina. Pretty impressive win.
Yep.
0 for 3 on the power play, 6 for 8 on the penalty kill. 29, 11, and 3 is Minnesota.
Yep.
So getting shut out sucks, but they did turn around and beat Carolina, who, other than this week, has been one of the hottest teams in the league.
Yeah, Carolina had that week.
Here's the thing. We'll talk about Carolina when we get to them. They don't get a top player because they only played 2 games and nobody really had that many points. Nashville, not a good week. 0-2. Lost to Dallas, like I mentioned. Lost to Winnipeg, too. 1 for 7 on the power play. 9 for 14 on the penalty kill.
What?
9 for 14 on the penalty kill.
That's so bad.
They gave up 2 power play goals to Dallas and 3 to Winnipeg.
That's so bad.
It's really bad. However, Nashville's record is 28, 16, and 4.
That's better.
So this is the first bad week in I can't
Since
remember.
the beginning of the season.
Yeah, this is the first rough week they've had in a bit. Obviously, they don't get a top player because they lost both games and they didn't really have anybody that stood out.
9 for 14.
I know.
In 2 games.
I know. Yeah. St. Louis went 1-1 this week as well. They weirdly lost to New Jersey 7-4, where New Jersey scored 5 goals in the third period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then they turned around and stomped their rival Chicago. So an up and down week for St. Louis, who is 27, 14, and 5 overall. 1 for 7 on the power play this week. 5 for 6 on the penalty kill. They also do not get a top player because they just didn't really have anybody impressive this week. Winnipeg had a good week.
Yes.
This is the first pretty good week for Winnipeg in a while. 2-0-1.
Mm-hmm.
Winnipeg has been kind of up and down.
That's their season.
Yeah, they shut out Minnesota, like I mentioned, lost to Dallas in overtime, and beat Nashville. All 3 division games.
Yep. So that's what you want to do. You want to beat the division.
Yeah. So, did good against their division this week. 4 for 13 on the power play. That's not bad.
Not bad.
7 for 8 on the penalty kill. 20, 17, and 8 overall is their record. It's not great.
No.
But the West is a mess, especially because of the Pacific Division.
Yep.
So they're still, I think, technically they're not technically, they're still in the playoff hunt. So if they could string some wins together, Winnipeg could be in a playoff spot fairly easily.
100%,
I think.
yeah.
So, yeah. And that is the Central. Oh, I'm sorry. Winnipeg had 2 top players this week.
2 top players.
Mark Scheifele had 3 goals and 3 assists. And Blake Wheeler had 2 goals and 4 assists, but I believe that both goals and 3 of those assists were against Nashville.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Still, I mean,
It's a good game.
Had a very good game.
All right, I'm going to stay in the West.
You do it.
Start with Pacific.
You do it. Yeah.
Because... Pacific. First up is Anaheim.
Yeah.
They played 1 game and lost it to Seattle.
Oh, in case, I don't remember if we mentioned this last week, but the schedule's a little weird for the next couple of weeks because they're jamming a bunch of games in that got postponed. So
Olympic break.
Yeah. So some teams have played 1 or 0 games this week.
And some teams have played 5.
Yeah, and some teams have played 4 or 5 games this week. So that's why some teams have, like Anaheim has only played 1, but each of us has teams that did not even play this week. Yep. So sorry to interrupt.
So they lost 3-4 to Seattle. They scored, and Seattle scored that last goal with a minute and a half left.
Ooh,
yeah,
that hurts.
Yep, bad defense at the end there. But yeah, they were 1 for 2 on the power play and 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. Lindstrom had both goals. Not both goals. He had 2 goals. So
Nick Lindstrom coming back from retirement.
Exactly.
And playing for Anaheim.
Sorry, Lundstrom.
Oh, okay. There is a Lindstrom on Detroit, though,
yes,
isn't there? Yeah. So weird.
Next up is Calgary, who had an excellent week.
They did.
3-0.
Don't you?
They shut out Vegas. They stomped Toronto, and then they stomped the Islanders right after that.
Yeah, Calgary is definitely back to their early season form.
Yep. 2 for 8 on the power play.
Okay.
7 for 8 on the penalty kill.
Pretty good numbers.
They are 26, 13, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Anaheim is 23, 17, and 9. Forgot to mention that. So Calgary has already surpassed them and is...
Yes. Calgary could easily be in first place in the Pacific once they catch up on games.
100%. Right now, it looks like Anaheim is out of that playoff spot.
It's not surprising. Once now that Calgary is getting back to
and Edmonton
actually
are
playing games, I think Anaheim and LA might fall out of playoff spots. But we'll see. LA's been better than Anaheim recently.
They're both kind of the same.
Yeah.
But Calgary has 2 top players this week. They have Jacob Markstrom, who played all 3 games, got all 3 wins.
Nice.
Posted a 9.59%, 1.33 goals against, and got his 8th shutout of the year.
That was in 3 games?
Yeah.
He had a 1.33 in 3 games?
Yeah. He only let 4 goals.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah, no. Markstrom has been lights out this year.
Oh, yeah. And he got, I'm sorry, what shutout was that?
8th.
8th? Damn.
We're halfway through the season.
Yeah. So he could, he's going to hit double digits, I feel like.
Incredible. Also, Mikael Backlund.
Can you stop doing that?
Is their top player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, skater.
Other top player.
With 1 goal and 5 assists.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Staying in Alberta, we're going with Edmonton, who went 1-2 this week. Not a good week. 24, 18, and 3 right now, which is still above 500.
They've righted their ship a little bit from that horrible skid that they were on.
A little bit.
Yeah. They were doing better going into the All-Star break, but then they came out.
They got shut out by Vegas.
Yeah.
Then immediately lost 4-1
to Chicago. Yeah.
Fired their coach after that game.
It's so confusing to me.
And then after they fired him, won 3-1.
Hey. Here's the thing. I just think it's confusing that they fired that guy now. If they had fired him during that horrendous skid that they were on, where they were 3-11-2 or something like that, that would have made sense to me. But firing him now, after, you lost 2 games coming out of the All-Star break, and all of the games are very important, but I don't know. It's just confusing to me that they fired him now.
It's one of those things where the problems haven't changed. So, it's kind of a coaching thing where he's not adapting to their issues.
What?
like the reasons that they're losing, he's not adapting and
Do you have
not
something to say?
trying to fix the problems.
No, I agree with you. I get it. I mean, I understand why he was fired. I just like the timing. It's just confusing to me.
It's also the first coach that GM Ken Holland has ever fired.
Well, here's the other thing too. This is what the 4th or 5th coach that McDavid has had.
4th in 6 years.
In the 6 years that he has been playing. That's horrible.
And
I mean, McDavid is good enough to like he himself to. Okay, Ruth, get off of me, please. To overcome that.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog was climbing all over me. But it really like, how long is McDavid gonna put up with this? Because
he had a altercation with the press.
I heard that. Yeah.
Press.
Well, because they basically
After an
accused
interview.
him and Draisaitl of chasing the coach out of the locker room.
100%.
When it's like, what are you talking? First of all, I don't understand why the Edmonton media apparently is being combative with McDavid and Draisaitl now.
The Edmonton media has apparently always been like this.
Oh, maybe this is just we're only noticing it now, but like, I really don't get it. I don't understand why you would do that in a live press conference. It's one thing to say that in like an article that you're writing, but like to do it to their face.
No, the Shorzy was an article.
Was it? Oh, okay. The Draisaitl one was to his face, though.
Correct.
I don't think it was the same guy, though.
But basically, it wasn't. It was the end of their press conference, and as it was like, as the cameras were turning off, McDavid's just like, "Hey, can I talk to you?"
Yeah. I heard that.
Yeah.
And then the cameras cut, and everybody was like, "No, we want to see the drama."
Exactly. But obviously, Edmonton doesn't have a top player right now.
Nah.
But I do want to talk about their issues this past week.
Which one of the many?
Cassian has a fractured jaw.
Ooh,
Kyle
boy.
Turris is out indefinitely for an undisclosed injury right now. Duncan Keith is out until like March with a concussion.
That sucks that he got a concussion. I don't know that really hurts them.
And Koskinen has COVID. So Mike Smith has played all 3 of those games.
Oh my God, who is their other? Oh, it's Skinner, right? Stuart Skinner.
Yeah.
Their other goalie. Oh my God.
Yeah. So Mike Smith just came back to play all 3 games, and Koskinen can't even back him up.
It's truly amazing that Edmonton, for the last 2 off seasons, has been like, we need a goalie, and they've been like, oh, just stick with Mike Smith.
Yeah.
Just like, what are you guys doing? Like, there's goalies out there. Chicago got Fleury for nothing, for literally nothing. I mean, maybe
nothing.
Maybe Fleury nixed an idea to Edmonton, but like, Chicago traded some minor league player that I'd never heard of before.
I think it was for considerations.
No, it was for a guy.
Oh, okay.
But like, it wasn't anybody that's gonna play on Vegas. Probably. But I don't know. I just don't like really understand. And I kind of like don't blame the coach necessarily either, because you can't really polish a turd. If like your depth is garbage, and your defense, you have like one good defenseman, and really not a good goalie, or like average goalie, how is that the coach's fault that he can't?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. Even like Hall of Fame coaches.
2 things. One, again, their play style seems kind of found out, and Tippett has not adjusted.
Yeah.
2, we cannot go on another 10 and 15-minute rant about it.
Why? Why? 4 teams didn't even play this week. We could talk about Edmonton.
I know, because up next is Los Angeles and San Jose, and neither played.
See? No, I know. I rag on Edmonton a lot, but it's because, like,
they're too good.
I just don't understand how they keep doing the same fucking thing over and over again, and just thinking, like, oh, McDavid and Draisaitl will win us games. Like, yeah, they can win some games, but then you get to the playoffs. What happened in the playoffs last year, Clay?
Got stomped.
They got swept by the Jets of all teams.
Yeah.
The Jets aren't that good. Sorry, Jets fans, but, like, especially this year, they're not that good. And it's just like, they were like, oh, rinse, repeat, do the same thing this year.
No, it is a problem with
Unbelievable.
upper management, but
I don't. And they brought in this is Ken Holland's first year, right?
Is it?
I think so. And he was like, "I'll go get Duncan Keith. That'll fix everything." You know, and it's just like
that's a bad idea.
Oh God! All right, rant over about Edmonton, but like, I just want like, I want McDavid to succeed. He's such a good player, and they're just like, oh, here's Leon Draisaitl to play with you, another potential MVP, All-Star, maybe Hall of Fame player if he keeps going the way he's going, and for the rest of your team. Rant over.
Hey, Chason was putting up record numbers last year.
Oh, well.
He is on Vancouver and not playing that great.
Yeah. All right, anyway.
All right.
LA and San Jose didn't play this week.
But Seattle did, and they went 1-1.
Hey!
And like you said,
there you go.
they lost to Arizona.
They
just shameful, and
it's shameful.
beat Anaheim. So
it's kind of shameful for Anaheim.
They brought it back.
Yeah.
0 for 4 on the power play.
Okay.
3 for 4 on the penalty kill.
All right.
It's not. Yeah.
I'm interested to see who they might sell off on their team too. Coming up, probably Giordano, but I
don't trust Francis to do anything.
That's true. He's a fairly conservative general manager, but like
that's why their draft was a turd.
But at this point, you're like, wouldn't you try to get like some draft capital? Like you could probably get something for Giordano, yeah.
But again, do you want to trade your first ever captain? It's so
no,
dumb.
But like he might leave in the off season with free agency anyway.
He's 38. He might just retire.
Yeah, that's true too. I was kind of like, why are you even naming a captain? Because Vegas didn't name a captain, I think, for like 3 or 4 years, and then it was Mark Stone, who they signed to a large contract.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yanni Gourde had 4 assists
in
those 2 games. So, not bad.
That's pretty good.
All right. Vancouver is up last. No. Vegas is set last. I knew that sounded wrong. Vancouver's up last on my page.
The penultimate team, Vancouver.
Penultimate team. 2-1 this week. Starting to right that ship.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, they had bad.
And
2
again,
weeks.
because the West is such a mess, Vancouver can still make the playoffs too.
22, 21, and 6.
Yeah, they're getting there.
Definitely turned it
they're
around.
Getting there. Yeah.
Seattle's 16, 28, and 4. I don't know if I.
I don't think you did, but that's fine.
Yeah.
They're not doing good.
They bad.
Yeah.
All right. Vancouver beat Arizona.
Nice.
Like you said.
As they should.
They lost to the Islanders.
Oh yes, they did.
They lost 6-3. It's not great. And then they beat Toronto.
That's impressive.
I watched that game.
Toronto,
it's a good game.
Yeah.
Thatcher Demko in that Toronto game saved 51 shots.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
He tied the Vancouver record.
I think he saved 51 of 53. Did he give up 2 goals? Yeah.
Yep.
Very impressive.
Oh man, that was crazy at the end too.
This is just a tangent, but it reminded me of this. I had a friend in high school who played on the high school hockey team, and he was the goalie.
Yeah.
Shout out Phil if you're listening. You're not. But there was a game that they lost in like double overtime, and I remember the next day he came in and he was like, "Man, I saved like 70 shots in that game, and we lost."
I love those games where, because this happens a lot in high school, where one team is so much better than the other, so they'll beat the worst team like 12-0, and that losing goalie had 100 saves.
Yeah, I'd seen that before. Well, at least in Phil's and my high school team's defense, it was an
a close
overtime.
game, yeah.
But he was like, "Man, I saved like 65 or 70 shots last night. We lost." I was like, "I'm sorry." He's like, "I'm so tired."
Vancouver was 3 for 10 on the power play, 6 for 8 on the penalty kill. Meh.
What was it on the penalty kill?
6 for 8, so not great.
That's not horrible.
Right, it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, true.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson is their top player.
Hey.
Had 1 goal and 4 assists in those 3 games. J.T. Miller actually scored his 400th point against Arizona.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, good for him. He might get traded.
He might. Pullman is moved to the IR.
Oh, bummer.
Due to migraines.
He has a fun name. Oh, that really sucks.
If your migraines are so bad, you're on the injured reserve.
Yeah, those are some bad migraines.
Quinn Hughes also has COVID, which doesn't help their power play or penalty kill.
It's because he went to the All-Star game where his brother Jack Hughes probably gave it to him.
Yep. Also, in front office news for Vancouver, they hired Cami Granado as their assistant manager.
Oh yeah, I think she's the first female assistant general manager.
No, she is now the third.
The third, okay.
And the second female Vancouver general manager.
There's no reason why women cannot be in like executive or front office
she
roles.
She was the first female scout.
There you go.
That's what she's in the Hockey Hall of Fame already.
Oh shit!
She's the first.
Maybe she'll be the first female GM.
Maybe.
You never know.
But they also poached her from Seattle.
Oof.
So stole her from a divisional rival.
That's really funny.
Made her a GM. She's
funny,
a scout, so she's also could help them.
I mean, scouts usually become, I think, better GMs because they can actually like look at guys and be like, know more than just the eye test.
I don't know if she, personally, I should have done more research.
That's okay.
If she's more specialized with like amateur players or professional, but
either way,
yeah, no, it's a good sign.
Either one of those are useful skills.
So
that's cool.
In the past couple weeks, Vancouver's front office went from 2 guys to bringing in Rutherford,
a garden gnome. A guy he knew from the Penguins.
Rutherford, all being 2 ladies.
2 ladies.
Like, there's actually a discussion. It's not just 2 dudes.
That's always good.
Yeah.
It's more voices is usually better. Well, to a point. For front offices of any sports team, honestly. So it's not just one guy being like, we're going to draft this guy.
Aquilani, actually, they seem to realize that they were, doing too much.
Needed some help, yeah.
And let's hire some people who know what they're doing and take a step back.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God, Vancouver. Finally. Because you guys kept Jim Benning there for far too long. He had some okay things that Benning did.
Benning was a great drafter.
Yeah, definitely.
Did really good drafts.
They still have good young guys, but like
his free agent signings
bad, and some of his trades bad. Bad.
All right, so last in the Pacific is Vegas.
Buggus.
1-1, 28-17 and 3.
Still top of the Pacific, I believe. Yeah. Calgary's closing in on them though. I think.
Well, they shut out Edmonton, and then got shut out by Calgary.
That's funny.
4-0 win, 6-0 loss.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
You don't get a top player for that.
No, yeah.
But, I mean, actually, Brassois, 28 for 28 with that shutout.
Pretty good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
It adds some trade value to him, too.
Right. Did you see the whole thing that they might just put Mark Stone on long-term injury reserve?
I'm going to bring that up because he has had some back problems that not...
Right.
He feels good, comes back, it flares up. Like,
I mean, as another person who has back issues, I understand.
He felt good enough to play in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
That aggravated his back. And now he's back out. So he's played half of the games this season.
So it's not unwarranted that he might go on long-term injured reserve, but with
cap circumcision,
with the Kucherov thing,
yeah.
What was it last year, and then Patrick Kane in 2012 or whatever it was when that happened. People are a little leery about
100%.
that, and I actually think the league is probably trying to do something to be like, no more of that,
Maybe.
Or if like you get put on LTIR and you're ready for the playoffs, too bad.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because shockingly, Kucherov came back for Game 1 of the playoffs.
Oh, I know.
So shocking because there's in case you guys don't know, there's actually no salary cap in the playoffs. Because for the most part, they're like, oh, it won't matter at that point. But teams have figured out that if guys, I mean, Kucherov had a legitimate injury, but he might have been ready before the playoffs.
Yes.
But they were like, oh no, he's still recovering.
Yep.
And then game 1 of the playoffs, maybe it wasn't game 1, maybe it was game 2 or whatever, but it was the first round of the playoffs. And they were like, oh, he's back. Like, weird how that worked. They might do a thing where, I think baseball does it, where you have a playoff roster.
Yeah.
And there's, like, certain criteria
you have to meet,
that you have to meet. Like, you have to be on the active roster. That definitely got picked up on Mike. That was my dog sighing.
Was it?
Was it not?
I don't think it was.
No, I think it was her. Going,
okay.
Or it was a ghost.
It might have been a ghost.
Hey guys, now this has become a ghost podcast. I'm pretty sure that was my dog making noise. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, long-term injury reserve. So I think maybe they'll try to do something like that, where they'll be like, the guy to be in the playoffs, the guy has to be on the active roster on. That was definitely her. Yeah, that was definitely her. Has to be on the active roster, like, I don't know, 2 weeks before the playoffs or something like that. So that might be some way to combat it. But
we'll see what I don't.
Really I saw
what
people.
His cap hit but
Stone.
Yeah,
it would be enough to get Eichel in the lineup.
It's one of those things where
that's what people are complaining about.
I still think they'll make some moves to open things up, but
I think Riley Smith, if I had to guess, is on his way out because he's going to be a free agent after the year anyway, and he's been like okay.
DeBoer really likes him. I understand.
I forgot DeBoer is their coach now.
DeBoer really likes him. I could see him getting extended, but they might not be able to afford him.
Last time I saw, there's been like no news, no talk of an extension between the two. But there's still a month plus until the trade deadline. But Eichel's probably going to be back, seemingly in the next couple of weeks. He's skating. He's practicing with no contact with contact. So that means like he's about to be back.
He's just
like he might be back this week. So that should be interesting to see, and there will be plenty of people that will call foul if Mark Stone goes on LTIR.
Personally, I don't care if they call foul.
I mean, yeah,
he's got a legitimate problem.
No, he does. Yeah, I mean, so did Kucherov. It was just the thing was people were like, well, Kucherov's definitely practicing, and he started practicing, I think, a few weeks before
100%.
The playoffs, and people were like,
well, how game ready?
But you don't know.
Yeah,
he might have been legitimately not ready yet. And because he messed up his knee, so he probably couldn't even do very much conditioning wise while he was recovering. But it's hard to tell. People will call foul about literally anything that happens. So hockey fans seem uniquely call foul about literally anything that happens.
I wouldn't even say it's just hockey. Sports fans.
Sports fans in general. Maybe it's because I pay attention to hockey fans a little bit more than other sports, but. No, you're right. It's just sports fans.
Sports fans suck.
It's just like if anything happens that positively affects another team that they don't like, they're like, the league is in cahoots with that team to make them better.
There's all this stuff about
there's still so many people.
You're not going to punish an original 6 team. Sure, they will.
There's also there's still people who are conspiracy theorists about they rigged the draft lottery for the Penguins to get Crosby because they were about to move and they were never gonna move. It was all of the move, quote unquote, talk was all just a power move by the Penguins to get a new arena in Pittsburgh.
Oh, you forgot to talk about before you start with the Metro.
What did I forget?
Talk about Arizona.
Oh, thank you. So, let's circle back to Arizona really quick. Thank you for reminding me. Arizona has struck a deal with Arizona State University to play at their, I believe, 5,000 seat arena for the next few years.
3, I believe.
3 years, I think. I mean, I guess it's okay because they probably don't pull that many people, but
everyone outside of Arizona
frustrating.
Is pissed.
Yeah, I saw. There's still somebody that's running the Atlanta Thrashers Twitter that tweeted maybe they should have moved Arizona and not the Thrashers.
Yeah, right.
Which is so funny. But the Thrashers situation was different.
That was an ownership
problem. But I mean, Arizona is an ownership problem too.
Atlanta almost lost their NBA team because it was the same ownership group.
Yeah, what? Either direction, that was a really funny shot by whoever the fuck is running the Atlanta Thrashers Twitter.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of at the point where I'm sure there are plenty of Coyotes fans. I'm sure there's Coyotes fans, but like, I don't. This seems untenable at this point. You know, like just move them.
So
you can move them to like Houston or San Antonio or wherever, and like, because I'm pretty sure Houston keeps trying to pitch for a team.
I think so.
And like that's fine. Then you don't have to move them out of the West. They can still be in the Central Division.
It
You know, like
another swamp.
I see people being like, "Oh, Quebec City." I'm like, but that's gonna fuck up the balance between the two conferences. I don't think that they're gonna do that right after they balance the conferences again.
There's never gonna be another Quebec.
No, I mean, but I'm sorry, Quebec City. The politician who said that he's gonna bring them back. It's an election year, so that's why he said it. But like this whole thing, like they signed up with Arizona State and they agreed to pay $20 million or something to like renovate the arena.
Yeah, they're gonna improve the arena, another expansion to their whatever, another addition, annex or whatever to that facility. What it is, a couple of things. So one, the reason all the owners are pissed.
I would be pissed too
about this deal is because you're giving up on revenue from attendance. You're giving up on that.
Absolutely, they are.
That's why most of the owners are pissed.
Well, yeah, because there's some sort of revenue sharing, I believe, between the NHL teams.
But
my dog is trying her best to kick Clay out of the chair that he's sitting in.
So there's that. That's why a lot of everyone's mad. But again, who knows how many? I don't know how many.
Well, I don't know what their attendance
drawing.
was really looking like anyway, but I don't know. No, you're right though.
But also at the same time, Arizona State has like 100,000 students.
Yeah. They might fill up that arena.
They're gonna fill up
that
arena.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, actually.
If they get a deal.
Yeah.
If students get a deal to go to...
They'll fill that arena up.
They'll fill that arena up.
It'll be loud.
It'll be loud.
Because it's a smaller arena.
Poppin'. And also, that might make new fans.
I hadn't considered that, actually.
You have a team on your campus to support
them. And I'm sure they'll do some sort of student discount, because I'm sure plenty of teams do it. I know the Penguins do it.
Yeah.
Maybe not for every single game, but maybe they have like student games, you know, like
Washington does it for colleges that are in DC.
Yeah, Pittsburgh does it for the universities in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure if they do it for every. Well, I think they do it for like.
I can think of 3.
I think they do it for like X amount of tickets.
Yeah.
But in Pittsburgh, it's called Student Rush.
Right.
Where they like, but like the students there line up down the street to get the tickets.
100%.
So I actually hadn't thought of that. That's a good point, Clay.
They're gonna fill out that stadium.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you don't get like people from Tempe.
That's true.
A bunch of
drunk college students. They're gonna be loud as fuck at that.
That's what I'm saying.
I hadn't even thought of that.
And even if they don't care about hockey before,
they
might now.
Yeah. Because if they like get hammered and go to a game and have a really good time, they'll be like, I love hockey.
Exactly.
You know, like, because they're like, I can throw my hat on the ice when guys score 3 goals. It's sick. And I mean, at the same time, they might be students from other areas of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say there's a student from Seattle.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't really. They go to ASU and they're like, well, I don't really know about hockey, but my hometown team, the Kraken, are playing. And I get a ticket for 50% off or whatever. Yeah, I guess I'll go to the game. And they're like, oh, I love hockey. You know, like.
And this is why the NHL is not moving the Coyotes yet.
I really had not considered that. That is a very good point. That's a good idea.
We'll see what happens after this 3 years.
Where is Arizona State? What city is it?
It's in Tempe, I think.
Is it in Tempe? So, if I know Tempe is one of the places they're trying to get a deal done to get an arena. So that's a good point. If you think of it that way,
if you're already garnishing goodwill with the city that you're trying to make a thing in,
they could be more like, maybe we'll do an arena because now we have all of these fans from ASU.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize ASU was that big of a college.
It's a big
party school too.
Very much so.
Yeah, those games might be like rocking. You know. Interesting. Those young guys are gonna want to play for the Coyotes now.
Yes, they are.
That's funny to think about as well. Huh, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not as bad as an idea as I was thinking it was.
Arizona's looking at it as nothing but wins, which makes sense why everyone else is furious.
Yeah. watch like teams that need arenas be like, oh, we're gonna go like they don't need one, but say the Penguins needed a new arena, they're like, we're gonna go play at like
Pitt.
We're gonna go play at Pitt or Duquesne for a couple years until they build us a new arena.
Calgary's just mad that they don't have a big school to do that to.
That's a fair point. Calgary's probably so pissed they hadn't thought of that. Like we're gonna go play at Saskatoon U for a couple years, and then come back to Calgary.
He doesn't know geography. I know Saskatoon's on the other side of the country.
I know, I'm really bad at geography. I still don't understand where Delaware is. And I'm 30. Let's talk about the Metro Division because we have 2 divisions left to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
We're having too much fun.
Yep.
Having too much fun. Carolina. But to wrap it up, that is a great point that I had not even considered. That might actually work out in the NHL's benefit if it works out that way.
Right.
Now, if Arizona could start putting, like, if they went into next year with like a halfway decent team, a 500 team, they do have young guys and they have a lot of draft capital. They could do it.
A lot of draft capital, a lot of cap space because of all those contracts that end.
And maybe a lot of guys that want to go there and pick up some drunk college girls. Yeah. That's not as bad of an idea as I thought it was. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to the Metropolitan Division, where, as always, we're going to start with Carolina Hurricanes, who didn't have a good week.
No, they did not.
1-2-1 this week. Pretty stunning, and it might be because this makes me wonder if they're going to struggle with their compressed schedule, at least for the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've already made up a bunch of games on the other teams in the division.
Yeah.
I think they still have like 3 or 4 games in hand on guys, on other teams, but they didn't make that much headway with these 4 games this week.
Did not.
They lost to they lost to Toronto in overtime, lost to Ottawa outright, did shut out Boston in a pretty devastating game for Boston.
Very much.
But then also lost to Minnesota.
Yeah.
3 for 13 on the power play, 14 for 15 on the penalty kill. Not horrible numbers.
No.
They're still 32-11-3.
That's
and I believe they
excellent.
still have at least 3 games in hand on both Pittsburgh and the Rangers, who are right behind them in the standings. But not a good week for Carolina. Mm-hmm. So Andrei Svechnikov did have 4 goals and 2 assists, so it seems like he was the only one that was showing up this week.
Yep. Aho tried.
Yeah. But they play on the same line, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly.
So yeah, rough week for Carolina. Maybe their first rough week of the season, honestly.
I think so.
Because other than this week, they've been rolling pretty hard. So
yeah,
weird. Columbus had a very good week, 3-0 this week. They beat Washington, they beat Buffalo in overtime, and they beat Montreal. And I believe that Montreal win, very similar to another game that you mentioned before. I believe Patrick Laine scored with like 30 seconds left.
Oh, it was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, he like rocketed it past
the goalie. Less than 30 seconds.
Laine's been looking pretty good recently.
Very good.
They were 4 for 8 on the power play. Those are the numbers you like to see. 5 for 6 on the penalty kill, also very good. 23-22-1. Yep. So they're right at 500.
Yep.
So Columbus is, I think, still doing better than I thought that they were going to be this year. They're not going to make the playoffs, but respectable season, definitely.
Yeah.
Laine, as I just mentioned, 3 goals and 3 assists this week for their top player.
Think of all the big names that they've lost in the past 2 years.
And they're still holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still holding on. I wonder if they try to extend Laine.
I think they will.
Because they have the cap space. He's a good draw. He's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in and out of the lineup. He had that oblique injury that kept him out for a few weeks, and then unfortunately, I believe his father passed away.
I think, yes.
And so he was out for another week or two when he went back to Finland to attend that. But yeah, Columbus is looking okay.
Yeah.
They might be right back in it next season, depending on what they do in the offseason. Unfortunately, Alex Tessier, Jake Bean, and I forget his first name, but a player named Robinson are all on the IR for a finger, groin, and knee injuries, respectively.
Oof. Imagine that was all one person. That would be
That would really suck. Like, you had a bad day if that was all. Like, you hurt your knee, you hurt your groin, and somehow broke your finger. Like, you just fell, and it was in a really bad way.
It's awful.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, hopefully none of those are extremely serious injuries. The New Jersey Devils went 2-2 this week.
They had a good week for them.
Excuse me. I'm sure that cut picked up on the mic. That's the problem with doing a podcast where we drink beer, is the carbonation makes me burp quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I apologize for everybody that hears me burp on mic. I try to move the mic away, but sometimes I'm not quick enough or far enough away. Anyway, New Jersey, they lost to Ottawa, beat the crap out of Montreal, 7-1 in that game.
That's what New Jersey needs to do, is play Montreal.
Apparently. And then they turned around and dropped 7 on St. Louis, too.
Gosh darn.
Beating them. And then just today, they lost to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So, 2 for 8 on the power play, 10 for 10 on the penalty kill this week.
That's good.
They are a whopping 17, 27, and 5.
Oh, look at them.
Yeah,
look at them coming back. Coming back.
Super good. I didn't write down a top player for them. Well, I'm sure somebody did good.
Yeah, they scored 14 goals in 2 games.
I'm sure Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier had a good week. But I apologize. I was finishing my notes right before we started. I unfortunately skipped over their top player.
Quan Hockey had updated.
I know, but I do. I'm taking ownership for my mistake. I'm sure someone had a good week. I mean, they scored 18 goals this week in 4 games. I'm sure somebody had a good week. I apologize, New Jersey Devils.
They deserve a top player.
Okay. God, Clay. Anyway, let's talk about the Islanders. Jeez. Who didn't have as good a week. They went 1-2.
They're out. They're gone.
Well, you know what? I mean, they beat Vancouver this week, then lost to Edmonton and Calgary. 1 for 5 on the power play, 5 for 7 on the penalty kill. Not great numbers, either one. 17, 19, and 6. Not good. This is kind of like a lost year for the Islanders.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately. I mean, them starting the year on like that 15-game road trip and then like a bunch of COVID stuff.
A bunch of injuries.
Derailed their season, but...
You lose your best 2 defensemen.
Yeah. I get it. I don't think... They're certainly not going to fire Trotz. I think this...
Not for this year.
I'll be honest, I think this season is kind of an aberration for them.
Yeah.
I would wager that they'll be right back in it next year. If they struggle again next year, then maybe Trotz has to worry about his job. But what are you gonna do? It's just a lost year. Hey, you'll get a good draft pick out of it.
Exactly.
So
maybe you'll win the lottery.
Maybe you'll win the lottery. Fucking Metro always wins the lottery. Moving on to the Rangers, they did not play this week because they had they were pretty up to date on all of their games. So they didn't play. They're still 30, 13, and 4. I'm almost certain that they play it this upcoming week, but I could be wrong. Philadelphia 0-2 this week. Boy, talk about another lost season.
They're so bad.
They're really bad. They lost to Detroit. They lost to Detroit twice.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what it was.
I didn't realize they played Detroit twice. They lost 6-3 and 4-2 to Detroit this week. 1 for 8 on the power play, 3 for 5 on the penalty kill.
I, for some reason, wrote down that Detroit lost to Philadelphia in that first game.
No,
I know. Yeah. I know there was a win. But
well, good, we're getting to it now.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is 15, 24, and 8.
That's the same record as Buffalo.
Let that sink in, Philly fans. Oh boy, I don't know what happened this year. I know they have a lot of injuries, but I mean they already fired one coach, so
yeah.
I think they'll probably let Mike Yeo roll for the rest of the year. and then figure out a coach in the off season. But like, first of all, I don't know why they brought in Le'Veon Yo in the first place. But yeah, boy, what a frustrating season for Philadelphia. And I would wager a guess they'll probably trade Claude Giroux before the trade deadline. Maybe several other guys.
Send him to a contender.
Sure.
Maybe let him. Maybe get a cup.
Maybe. We'll see. I know Colorado has been interested in getting him. I don't know how they have the cap space to get him, but
they don't.
Yeah, we'll see. I would wager he probably gets traded among several other players from Philadelphia. So, wouldn't it be so funny if Giroux in like a 3-way trade where some team tricked Philly and he ended up on like either Pittsburgh or like Washington or the Rangers?
Oh man,
how pissed would Flyers fans be?
They might burn the city down.
They've burned the city down for less than that. So, speaking of Pittsburgh, Philly doesn't have a top player. Speaking of Pittsburgh, 3-0 this week.
Yep.
1 for 9 on the power play, 5 for 6 on the penalty kill. They beat Boston in a pretty good game where Boston went up 2-0 and then lit up 4 unanswered goals.
Yes,
and Brad Marchand punched Tristan Jarry in the head.
I'll get to it.
Okay. That got suspended. Then they shut out Ottawa. That was Casey DeSmith who got that shutout, the backup. That was probably his best game of the season. And then just today, like I mentioned, they beat New Jersey 4-2. 30, 11, and 8. And I think technically with that win, because Carolina didn't play today, I think Pittsburgh's in first place in the Metro right now.
I believe they are.
Just for the time being, I believe Carolina has 3 or 4 games in hand. So, but still, numbers-wise, they're in first place.
Yeah.
So Brian Rust had 3 goals and 2 assists this week. Big week for Rusty, and we're on 500 watch for Crosby.
He's on 499.
In the Penguins world. Their next game, Clay, at home against Philadelphia. It's like it was written in the heavens that's the 500 game. So we'll see.
Maybe he gets 503 there.
Maybe, especially with how Philadelphia is playing. Moving on to Washington, who did not have a very good week either. 1-2. They lost to Columbus. They did beat Montreal, and then lost to Ottawa today. In a frustrating game, it seemed like, for the team, based on the things that happened in the game. 26, 15, and 9. So still not a horrible record. Still very much in a playoff spot. But they were 2 for 11 on the power play, 10 for 13 on the penalty kill. Joseph Snively,
I think it's Snively.
2 goals and an assist for their top player. He's a rookie. And honestly, I just wanted to say Snively because he sounds like just some like uptight British guy that somehow is playing for the Washington Capitals.
He's the first Virginia-born Caps player to score a goal.
That's surprising. It's surprising that just because like the Caps have been around for nearly 40 years at this point, it's surprising that they
almost
haven't
50 at this point.
It's just shocking that they haven't had. Oh no, you're right. Yeah, it's almost 50 years.
They've been dog poop for so long.
Well, yeah, I guess before like the 90s and then until they got Ovi, they weren't very good. I guess you're right, but it's just surprising that they never had a DC or Virginia-born player that scored.
It all goes back to being
poopy doo-doo.
Except for one year where they got swept by Detroit.
One season where they somehow went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 98, I think.
It might have been 99.
Something like it was around there.
They got swept.
I think that was mostly Jim Carrey's doing.
Yeah.
Not the comedian, not the movie star, but there was a goalie who played for Washington who had one good year, and it was that year.
Still big in the 90s.
True. Hey, that's a good point. Yeah.
And then Ovechkin happened.
And then Ovechkin came along. Yeah. And Backstrom.
Yeah. Exactly.
The rest.
All right.
Atlantic.
Starting with Boston. Who?
They did not have a good week.
Did not have a good time. They went 1 for 2.
1 and 2.
Yes. Yeah. 1 and 2. Sorry.
You should be sorry.
I messed this up a lot. Like Bert said, lost to Pittsburgh and Carolina.
Yeah.
They shut out Ottawa. That was their big win.
So, hey, at least they got,
Swayman was 30 for 30.
There you go.
Got his shutout.
Let's talk about all the rest of the things that happened.
Let me get some other stuff.
Okay.
They were 1 for 10 on the power play. Not good. Nope. 7 for 10 on the penalty kill. Also not good.
Nope.
They're 27, 16, and 3.
Okay. Their record is still fine.
They're still 4th in the division.
Yeah, they're still the 2nd in the wild card spot. Like we said last week, the teams in the East, I think, are going to make the playoffs unless Boston or Washington keep imploding in on themselves. But those teams are talented enough to right the ship a little bit.
All right, let's get in.
Let's talk about it.
All right, so the Tuukka Rask comeback is over.
Yeah.
He retired.
He is officially retired.
I believe he got injured, and
he came back, and then he started having hip issues again, and then he was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm retiring. Yeah, I'm done. So
the Tuukka Rask experiment is over.
Very good career for Tuukka Rask.
He's a probable Hall of Famer.
Maybe it's like notoriously hard for goaltenders to make the Hall of Fame for some reason.
They actually are kind of over. I saw this one breakdown that they're actually kind of overrepresented in the Hockey Hall of Fame. They make up 18%.
Oh.
Which is crazy.
Okay, well maybe I'm wrong in my assessment, but I would say if I had to put a goalie, or if I was asked should Tuukka Rask be in the Hall of Fame, I would say yes.
I would say yes.
Because in the last decade plus,
he's got
he's one of the top goalies.
He's got over 300 wins.
Mm-hmm. He has at least one Vezina.
Yes.
He won a Stanley Cup.
Yep.
They went to another one.
Yep.
Where if they had won that Stanley Cup, he probably would have won the Conn Smythe.
Yep.
So he is a great goalie. There's no disputing that. It sucks that his career ended this way, and not on his own terms. But
here's the thing: it rarely ever goes out on the player's terms.
In any sport, yeah, that's true.
So,
there's very few examples. Ray Bourque is one of the more recent ones that I could think of, where in his last year they won the Stanley Cup, and he was like, "I'm out."
Well, even think of like Peyton Manning
That's true.
With his Super Bowl.
He
was so bad.
Yeah.
He was so bad leading up to it.
Yep. Ben Roethlisberger this year too.
Yeah.
Last 2 years Roethlisberger's been bad.
Yep.
Not horrible, but not good.
Not to his standards.
And Tom Brady this year too. They lost in the playoffs, and he was like, goodbye.
Yep. All right. So, other stuff. Marc Bergeron.
Yes.
Missed most of this week.
Patrice Bergeron.
God, why do I keep doing that?
I don't know. There was a player named Marc Bergeron.
Well, I'm also thinking of the GM.
Marc Bergevin. Yeah.
Patrice Bergeron.
He got injured in that Pittsburgh game.
In the first Pittsburgh game, so he hasn't played this week. He's questionable for the next couple of games. And then, also in that Pittsburgh game, Brad Marchand did something stupid.
Oh boy. Yeah, so Brad Marchand.
Surprise of no one.
Yeah, Brad Marchand. I don't know, because you can't really hear the guys talking to each other on the ice, but at the end of the game,
Jari chirped him.
I think Jari chirped him, but Jari also made a very good save against Marchand too towards the end of the game.
No, after he makes that save,
he said something.
You see him look at Marchand and say something.
But
that doesn't mean you get punched in the back of the head.
No. And so after that, Jari wasn't even looking at Marchand anymore. Marchand comes up, skates through 2 other players. This was with the whistle had been sounded. Everybody was stopped. And Marchand just comes up. He didn't really punch him hard. He kind of just pushed him, pushed his head with his fist.
No, he punched him.
Okay.
All right. He punched him.
But Jari didn't get hurt or anything like that. But he basically sucker punched him, and which it didn't really start a brawl, but
started a scrum.
It started a scrum, and then Marchand, while he was being escorted off the ice, while he still had his stick, hit Jari in the face on purpose with his stick.
Yep.
And so Marchand got suspended for 6 games. What a dumb thing to do.
This is the second time Marchand has been suspended this year.
Yeah.
This is his 8th suspension, career-wise.
Yeah, remember a few years ago when people were like, "Oh no, he's a clean player. He's never been suspended."
I remember that this year.
Now he's been suspended 8 times.
8 times.
Yeah. Almost like the refs. It's almost like the NHL hurt them, and we're like, "Oh."
Well, the NHL's Department of Player Safety.
Yeah.
They put out reasons for suspensions every time a player gets suspensions, and sometimes why they don't suspend a player. Either way, for the stick to the face. He broke away from the linesman that was
to do that.
Yeah. So that's the suspension. So basically, they put it in his previous suspensions into consideration. And
of course. They usually do that.
Which is why they suspended him for 6 games. He has appealed that suspension.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. But
I personally don't think it's going to go anywhere. I personally, because he's a repeat offender, it should have been 4. And that's my thing.
With the appeal, they can give him more.
I know, but they
probably won't.
They never have. Theoretically, it could happen.
Yeah,
that has never happened.
I doubt they will.
But yeah, Marshawn's been suspended for 6 games.
Yep.
From being an idiot.
Yep. It was so stupid, too. I understand that he was frustrated, but, like, what a dumb way to take out your frustration.
You don't touch a goalie. You don't touch a goalie.
They're very protective.
We've already talked about this. You don't touch
it. Yeah, you never touch a goalie.
All right. Moving on to Buffalo. Not bad for them this week.
Ooh.
1-0-1.
Hey. That was pretty good.
It's a point in both games.
Yeah. 3 out of 4 points.
That overtime loss to Columbus, like you said.
Right.
And they beat Montreal today 5-3.
They did.
Yes, they did. 1 for 4 on the power play. 4 for 5 on the penalty kill. I already said they're 15, 24, and 8.
Yeah. Same record as Philly.
Jeff Skinner is their top player this week because he scored 4 goals.
Against Montreal.
And had an assist against Montreal.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. He's having a good season.
But he had 2 assists this 2 games. Yeah, I know.
He had 7 points in
those 2 games. He only had 6 points.
Oh, okay.
But in 1 game, he had 5.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So in this season, he has 20 goals in 40-some games.
Yeah.
Last 2 seasons, he had 21 goals in 112 games. So he's turned it around.
Well, it could be.
Kruger was so bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be the coaching keeping him back, trying to make him do things that he's not good at or whatever.
Well, remember his cap hit's like 8.5.
Yeah, it's still not good.
Oh,
but if he could hit 30, then that makes that cap hit like not hurt as much.
Exactly. If he keeps going, and it was a massive, long deal.
Yeah, I think it was 8 years.
8 years, 8.5.
But even when he signed it after having, I believe, a 40-goal season.
Yes, he did.
And
everyone was like, no.
Yeah, everybody. I think it might be $9 million a year. But in either direction, everybody was like, "That's not. You shouldn't have done that." Because that was 1 year of production.
I agree, but still, if he gets close to it,
if he gets around 30, then you could forgive it.
I want him to succeed just because.
I just want Buffalo to succeed.
I do too.
Those poor people. Those poor Buffalo fans.
They deal with so much snow already.
They have to take so much. They have to shovel 4 feet of snow, like every couple of months.
Yep.
And they just don't get good sports.
Nope. The Bills have turned it around.
The Bills are good, but they lost in the playoffs. So I just want them to be happy.
A team who doesn't make it to the playoffs in NFL is Detroit. So, because they're next, they're 2-0 this week. We talked about it. Both of their wins were against Philadelphia.
Yeah, they should just keep playing Philly.
2 for 5 on the power play, 7 for 8 on the penalty kill. It's good.
Yeah.
Dylan Larkin is their top player.
Captain Dylan.
Again.
Yeah. He's having a really good season.
He really is. 1 goal, 4 assists. Detroit is 22, 21, and 6. Is that the same record as Vancouver? That's crazy.
No, isn't Vancouver like almost...
No, it's the same.
It is?
Yeah, it's the same as...
22, 21, and 6.
Same as Vancouver. Nick Leddy has been injured and hasn't played the last couple of games.
Yeah, bummer.
Not on the IR, but he's been out the last couple of games. Florida.
Oh, boy.
Did not play. So,
oh, really? They didn't play at all?
Didn't play at all.
They don't need to. They were just awarded wins.
100%. Against Montreal.
They just gave Montreal losses.
Montreal. I didn't write down Florida's record because
it's fine. I mean, they're still, they're first in the Atlantic. They have a very good record.
Montreal is the worst in the Atlantic, and they did not get better, going 0 for 4 this week.
Oh my god. Oh, Christ. Montreal.
8, 33, and 7.
Jesus. They fired their coach, too.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. But this was, like, why now, though?
He was like a couple days from being in charge for a year.
Why fire him now?
A calendar year.
I really don't get it.
All right. So let's get into it.
Yeah, tell me.
We've already talked about all of these games already.
Oh, we did, yeah.
1-7 against New Jersey. 2-5 against Washington. 1-2 again. 1-2 versus Columbus. It was close, but that was
close.
The heartbreaker of a loss.
But
3-5 against Buffalo.
Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Montreal.
1 for 12 on the power play.
Maybe they should get a Quebec City team back.
8 for 11 on the power penalty kill.
Oh my god. Wait, what was their power play?
1 for 12.
Oh my fucking god. Yes. So they're getting power plays. Like, they're getting them.
Yes.
They're just not scoring.
Yes.
Ay.
Alright, so.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to go.
I mean, if it's too much, we can just keep going.
No. Alright, so. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's French. He's the coach. Ducharme? Ducharme?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. Yeah. That's close enough.
He's out.
Dominic Ducharme, I think. Yeah.
He's out. Martin St. Louis is their new coach.
That seemed odd because he was coaching Pee Wee.
He has no coaching experience.
He was literally coaching children.
No coaching experience before this job.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Hey, maybe he'll be fantastic. I don't know. But that seems like an odd hire. Didn't they also hire Vinny St. Louis? No. Vincent Lecavalier.
Might have.
I think they hired him
see.
as a
An assistant?
a GM assistant or something
Maybe.
like that as well.
Um,
It's just funny.
I heard a
They
lot of
hired those
stuff.
two
It's like, let's bring back the 2004 Lightning for everywhere.
Yeah. Martin St. Louis
So,
is their coach.
yes, he is their coach.
So weird.
There was actually a trade.
Oh yeah, there was. That's true. Real blockbuster.
Brian Baddock went to Minnesota Wild for Andrew Hammond.
A guy who I did not know was still
The Hamburglar.
the Hamburglar. Yeah.
He is probably going to be their starting goalie. Because
Oh my god.
Montembeault,
Mm-hmm.
who played two
Didn't he
games this
play
week.
today?
He played 2 games this week.
Yeah.
He's played 3 games this week because Primo. I was right the first time. Primo.
Yeah.
He's played twice without getting pulled this season.
Caden Primo has?
He's gotten yanked almost every game he's played.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Well, he's like 20
Exactly.
or something, yeah.
He's getting shelled. He's
Yeah.
not ready for the NHL
He's
yet.
a little baby goalie.
Exactly. It's never good to bring them up.
No.
So Montembeault has been playing with a wrist injury. So,
Yikes.
and McNevin is out for their backup.
And
Now.
is Jake Allen's out too, then?
Jake Allen's out. Carey Price is out.
Yeah.
Montembeault wasn't even supposed to be in the NHL this year.
Right, yeah. Montembeault is a very young goalie, too.
Exactly. And he's just getting shelled.
Yeah.
In that Columbus loss, he saved 40 for 42. Like,
At least he had a good game.
he hit a good
Especially
game.
considering that he had a wrist injury. Has a wrist injury.
He's been playing with a wrist injury for like a week or 2.
Wrists aren't something you should fuck around with either.
They don't have
There's
another goalie.
I know, but there's a lot of bones in your wrist.
I agree.
Yeah. And ligaments.
I would also bring up the players who are out currently for Montreal.
Mhm.
Ben Sherratt did not
Oh
play
yeah,
today.
he got hurt. He got put on the IR today.
He's
I
on
think,
the IR
yeah.
today with a lower body. Christian Dvorak,
Mm.
upper body.
Which really sucks because I think they're trying to trade both of those guys.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Edmondson has not played yet this season.
Edmondson. Oh, has he not?
He has not played.
Wow,
He is expected a week or 2 from now to make his season
Gotcha.
debut.
that's crazy.
Jonathan Drouin is expected in a couple weeks with a wrist injury.
Right.
Carey Price still hasn't played with his knee.
Knee and other problems. Yeah.
And I mentioned McNevin, out indefinitely, undisclosed.
I'll be honest, I don't even know who McNevin is.
He's their fourth string goalie now.
Got it. That's why I don't know who he is.
Primu wouldn't be playing it. McNevin. I don't care. It's French. I don't care. I don't respect it. I respect the French. He's French Canadian. I don't.
That was my dog's auto feeder going off in the background.
Again, I respect the French. I don't respect the French Canadian.
Take that, Montreal. Take that, Quebec.
David Savard. That ankle injury.
Oh, I forgot they had David Savard. He signed in the offseason.
Yeah, but he played like 40 games before he hurt.
That's how bad of a season. I forget who was on their team.
Matthew Perreault. Lower body.
Oh, yeah.
Expected back late February. Because he's been hurt a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries.
Jake Allen's not expected back till mid-March.
Oh, Christ. Andrew Hammond to turn the season around.
Watch them not get the first overall draft pick.
Yeah, the Islanders will probably get it somehow.
Yeah, of course. So while Montreal is playing so bad.
Yeah, really bad.
They also are missing so many of their
That's
players.
true. That is true. Yeah. A lot of recognizable guys, too.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah, they're really bad. Really bad.
And not even to mention Shea Weber.
Wasn't
even expected this year.
Pseudo-retired, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, while they are this bad, and no one expected them to be this bad.
Not quite this bad, no.
It does make sense. Alright, moving on to Ottawa, because I'm just sad talking about Montreal. Ottawa had a good week this week. 3-2.
Oh, they played 5 games.
They played 5 games. We've talked about all of them already.
Yep.
Considering it was a win against New Jersey, a win against Carolina. Well, shutout against Pittsburgh, got shut out against both of those teams, and then beat Washington 4-1. 0 for 13 on the power play.
Oh my God! Yowza! And they won 3 games.
11 for 13 on the penalty kill.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah.
17, 24, and 4.
They're slowly getting to a point where you're like, okay, they're not having that bad of a season.
So
they're definitely going to hit 20 wins. Recently, they've been playing pretty well.
Talk about that because there's a couple of games in there where obviously they didn't score, and that's because their top 2 goal scorers are out.
Yeah.
With Connor Brown, Josh Norris going up to the IR with a shoulder injury, and we've talked about Drake Batherson with that
hurt too. Yeah.
Being injured by a 6-string goalie.
I'm pretty sure Batherson's out for the rest of the season.
No, it's a high ankle sprain.
Oh, okay, but those kind of take a while too.
It's like 8 weeks.
Oh, I think. Never mind. Go ahead.
Connor Brown is their top player
Mm-hmm.
with 2 goals to the assist over this time.
Good week.
I'll give it to him because they didn't put up many points, but point per game player, fine.
They still won 3 games though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Austin Watson was suspended for 2 games with a high hit in the Boston game.
It was a headshot.
Deserved, 100%.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about Matt Murray.
Okay.
Because we've talked about how he got sent down. He went to Bellevue.
He got waived, yeah.
So before he got waived to Bellevue, and no one picked him up, he had a 3.22 goals against average and a save percentage of .892. And that was in 6 games.
Yeah.
Since then, coming back up, in 10 games, he's got a 2.1 goal against average.
Pretty good.
With a save percentage of .939.
That's really good, actually.
And in fact, if you take out 1 game, his first game back, he got shelled by Toronto. It was a 6-0 loss. You take away that game, in 9 games, he has a 176 goals against average.
Damn.
With a .949 save.
I watched the game he played against his former team, Pittsburgh. He played very well.
Since coming back, 1 game excluded,
Mm-hmm.
has been playing like his former self.
That's great.
Problem is, he's got no run support.
No, of course not. Yeah, no.
Because his the top scorers
are all out right now.
Hurt.
Yeah. So I would love to see Matt Murray regain his form and play well for Ottawa. I really would. So that's great. That's great to hear.
He even recorded a shutout during those 9 games. So Matt Murray seemed to turn it around. So if the goalie play keeps playing well, because
if he can carry this into like next season when like they're back to being healthy and maybe they've made a few more moves to shore up their team. Ottawa might be good in a year or two.
In a couple of years.
Maybe next year, maybe the year after. Because they have Tkachuk. Drake Batherson looks great. They have a bunch of other young guys.
Drake Batherson was over a point a game before he got injured.
They have Thomas Chabot, who's a great defenseman. If Matt Murray can even play slightly above average goaltending, they might be a pretty good team.
And their backup is Forsberg, who he went 33 for 34 today. Yeah. So, he's been playing good as well. They might not be getting the wins, but the
effort
well.
is there.
Yeah.
The effort is there.
So they're right there as on the cusp of being a very good team.
Yeah.
So I did want to shout them out.
Shout out.
Up next is Tampa.
1-1.
Talked about those games already.
Great games.
Lost to Colorado. Win against Arizona, which you want. And it was Elliott who beat Arizona.
Wow. I constantly forget that he's on Tampa Bay.
Because his cap hit is $1 million, maybe.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that much. It might be the vet min.
It's $500,000. Yeah.
Or $750,000, I think is the vet min. 750,000.
Yes.
Is the vet min.
0 for 6 on the power play, 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. Braden Point had 2 goals and an assist.
All right.
Nothing to really talk about.
No.
They did sign Pat Maroon to a 2-year extension and $1 million a year.
Yeah, it seems about right. Maroon's a good
veteran.
Bottom 6, good veteran presence.
Exactly.
$1 million, that's certainly worth it.
Yeah. Last up is Toronto.
And
I said last week that we need to talk about Toronto. Mm-hmm. Let's go to not talking about Toronto because they seem to hate it.
Yeah. And that was good a week this week.
We started talking about Toronto and
we're like, they're having a great season.
1 and 2.
Yeah. Sorry, Toronto fans.
Yeah, sorry.
Our bad.
We did mention that the statement game against Carolina, they won that statement game.
They did. They won in overtime. It was a good game.
And then they lost the next 2.
Well, used up all of their energy against
Calgary
Carolina.
And Vancouver, as we mentioned.
Well, they lost to Calgary, who is a very good team as well, who's playing very well. Losing to Vancouver, that's a little bit more on the questionable side.
Here's the thing: Calgary just also did not play well
against Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't trust Toronto's defense.
Their own coach was upset about the way they played.
Still won.
Exactly. Well, that's that. He's happy that they won, but it's just like we need.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
3 for 10 on the power play. Pretty good.
Yeah.
9 for 11 on the penalty kill, which you like better.
Not as good.
They don't get a top player.
That's fair.
They are 30, 12, and 3.
Still a very, very good record.
Very good.
Yeah.
Also, Tampa Bay is 31, 11, and 6. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Also a great record.
And the only news coming out of Toronto is Joseph Woll got a 3-year extension for $750,000.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
which is good.
It's a good backup goalie extension.
He was a great backup goalie when Mrazek was injured. I think he got a shutout
so
far.
Probably let Mrazek go.
Or they'll trade him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they could. They might be able to get
pieces.
Yeah, they might be able to get like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick for Mrazek. We'll see. But I mean, Jack Campbell is their starter moving forward
because he's so good.
He's having a great year. Yeah, just cool. So, fair signing.
Fair signing.
That's it.
That's it.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I think we covered it.
Edmonton, get your shit together. Anyway, thank you guys for listening again this week. Please give us a follow, a review. Suggest it to some of your friends and family members if you want. If they like hockey. If they don't like hockey, I don't think they'll like the show very much.
No.
Because they will not know what we're talking about.
Not at all.
But as always, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week for Week 19 and whatever happens this upcoming week. Have fun during the Super Bowl. Have fun during Valentine's Day if you have plans. And if you don't, that's okay too, because I don't.
Self-love.
Self-love. I'm going to play video games probably, so.
Good day.
Not a bad day. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.
Join us next week. Same puck time.
Same puck channel. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.